Senator, the floor is yours.
Good morning everyone, and thank you very much for coming today to this announcement. Since I came back to lead the party at the very end of 2014, I faced a Queensland state election in 2015 where I just missed out on the seat of Lockyer by 114 votes. Since then, the party has powered ahead. We've actually have gone on to win 4 Senate seats. Membership has grown. We've actually now registered in Western Australia and facing state elections there on March the 11th. A couple of weeks ago, I actually was proud to announce Steve Dickson, the member for
Buderim.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
The member for Buderim, to come across to Pauline Hanson's One Nation. He now is a member on the floor of Parliament. Today, I'm very proud to announce Steve as the state leader for the party in Queensland. He will be leading our team of candidates into the next state election, and with Steve working closely with myself and the other senator, Malcolm Roberts, who is also from Queensland, and the candidates to formulate policy that is going to be very important to this state. I believe under Steve's knowledge, experience, and under his leadership, that the state will power ahead, that I believe that people are screaming out in Queensland for someone other than the major political parties and the National Party to vote for. So I'm just so proud to have Steve on board. I think he is an addition to this party. We've worked well together in such a short period of time, and it's welcome on board, Steve. And I'm going to hand Queensland over to you now, although I'm still the senator. Never forget that for Queensland. But the whole fact is, it's up to you now to lead the candidates and policy on the floor of Parliament, and just prove to the people what we want to do, what we want to achieve. And I think that's so important. That means so much to me. So congratulations, and thank you
very, very much. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming.
You just step right in front of the mic, please.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming to the Buderim electorate this morning. Greatly appreciated. And the first thing I want to do is thank Senator Hanson and thank the One Nation Party for giving me the opportunity to lead One Nation into the next Queensland election, whenever that may be, sooner rather than later, or later on in this year. We have a lot of work ahead of us. The 2 major parties in Queensland have absolutely lost their way. One Nation is all about putting people before politics, and this is so important. The people have been forgotten for way too long, and it's not about staying in government for a 3-year term or a 4-year term and just thinking about that's all you've got to concentrate on. We've got to think about what's needed in electorates right throughout Queensland. And I do have to say, the major issue that has affected me in this country, it's been 16 days since I called on the Premier of Queensland, Anastasia Palaszczuk, and the Prime Minister of Australia, Malcolm Turnbull, to create an amnesty for medical cannabis for sick and dying children. The clock is still ticking, and you need to step up and save some lives. On the 16th of January, after joining One Nation, the first Monday, Senator Hanson allowed me to make an announcement in the electorate of Buderim for $440 million for the crucial Mooloolah River Interchange Link, which will create 4 lanes to Mooloolah, which will link up the new $1.8 billion hospital. The Sunshine Coast has been lacking in infrastructure for a very, very long time, and both major parties have committed to nothing because they believe there's safe seats here. There is not a safe seat in Queensland. We have to step up and we have to make a difference. And this is just where it started, the fire on the Sunshine Coast, but this is going to spread throughout Queensland, because today I am so passionate about this nation building project that One Nation has thrown on the table, and that is a hybrid scheme of the Bradfield scheme to be delivered in Queensland if we are elected to government. And what this will do, it will create an economic future for the state of Queensland and also Australia. Think of the benefits that will come to us here in Queensland. Agriculture is a renewable resource. We have been living on the sheep's back and on the miner's back for far too long. We've got to think of new ideas, and we've got to deliver nation-building projects. And think back, have the two major parties ever said this, dreamt this, or delivered this? The answer is no. We are going to deliver this particular project for Queensland, because think about Queensland has been in drought for a number of years. It's brown and it's burned. When we have that essential rain come through, it comes to life and it flourishes. And that's what's going to happen to Queensland with One Nation. We are making a commitment today to deliver a project that is a nation-building project, just like the Hoover Dam in the United States. If you took the Hoover Dam out of the United States, you would lose all of those agricultural belts, those towns that have propped up, like Las Vegas. I'm sure you've all heard of that, but we have to make Queensland a great state and a great country, and we need to deliver on the aspirations and the dreams of all of those parents that they want to put forward to their children. They will have opportunity. This will be a 10-year or better project that will create a whole lot of jobs for a whole lot of people, and then the spin-offs will be value add to the land prices, value add to agriculture. This is what we're throwing on the table today, but there are so many other things that have to be done. Law and order. I was contacted by a fellow down in Victoria who's a very close friend of mine just last week, and he said, you know what's happening down here? Gangs are coming in with baseball bats into your house. They're not carjacking you on the road, they're coming into your house to steal your car. This is what we've heard, the same sort of thing is going on in Townsville. I mean, law and order, it's running amok. Our coppers are great people, our AMBOs are great people, our emergency personnel, they are the best you can get, but let's let them get on and do the job they're paid to do. Don't have them sitting around shuffling papers. Let them get out there and catch the ice dealers. Let them get out there and stop this crime. Make law and order what it is. That's why we want to see the Queensland Police Force reinstated in Queensland. It's not a service, it's a force, and those people who want to break the law, really think about what you're doing, because this should not be happening in this state. Our children are so important to us, and our future is within their lives. So let them prosper, let them live a long and healthy life, and keep the drugs out of their hands. That's what we can do in this state. And there are so many other things that we need to deliver. We have great candidates, and there will be more selected over coming weeks, and I will be going through these and vetting them myself. I want to make sure we get the best quality candidates. If you're a counsellor, if you're an academic, if you are a person who lives in any community throughout Queensland, I'm asking you today, put your hand up, make a difference, because you can make Queensland better. And the last message I'll leave you with is, follow our Facebook site, because you'll hear the message from me and you will hear it from Senator Hanson. We will tell you as it is in our very own words. Follow us and we will let you live the dream with the rest of Queenslanders. We want Queensland to be a great state. We want to create opportunity. We want to create jobs, and we want to create a future that we can all be proud of. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you.
We have some questions here. You just
And if you can talk very loudly, I'm the one with hearing aids.
Okay, no problems. You just said this is about the people of Queensland. Is it, or is it about you seeking revenge on the LNP after you being sat on the backbench for a
Well,
long time?
if anybody wants to put themselves into my position, please feel freely. It hasn't been a fantastic journey as far as the two major political parties are concerned. They can be nasty, they can be vindictive, and they can say whatever they like about me, but I'm doing this for Queensland. I wouldn't advise anybody to jump in and do what I've done, because it's pretty tough. Your family cops are hiding, your staff cop are hiding, and I don't think that's good enough from the political parties, and that's why we need to change this state, just because of their attitude alone, but their attitude towards creating jobs, delivering infrastructure. If they're scared of that, just come out and say it. I see the lockout laws have been wound back today, and what we should be doing is winding back the taxi laws too, so that the taxi industry is treated the same as the newcomer on the block. I mean, treat people fairly. The Queensland government charged a fee to those taxi drivers. They gave out a licence. How would it be if I decided to go to the pub and get a few cartons of beer and opened up a bottle shop in my garage? That wouldn't be very good, would it? Would all Queenslanders think that's fair? No. The same thing's happened to the taxi industry. The Labor government has come out and said, we'll give you 20 grand for a $500,000 licence. If I said, and I said this in a speech in Parliament to Sterling Hinchcliffe, if I give you 20 grand instead of your 320,000 you earn in this year, would you like that too much? I'm sure that he wouldn't.
You're leading the party, and that means you're pushing the policies of One Nation as well. How would you feel to be the man to be in the burqa in Queensland?
Well, in government facilities, it is absolutely no different to a bank, government facility. Try walking in with a motorcycle helmet on or a hoodie. You can't do it. If you go in and you've got a full burqa, you should not wear it into those institutions. And I heard what the Premier said the other day. She wants the police officers to walk up to somebody and say, excuse me, will you take that off? I don't think that's fair to the coppers. I think we should have a policy in place that says you can't wear them into government institutions. You can't wear them into banks. No different to a motorcycle helmet, no different to a hoodie. This is about treating everybody fairly. And on that topic, we welcome anybody from all over the world to come to Australia. That's an absolute fact, that if you want to come here and have 2 or 3 wives, if you want to treat women like dogs, and if you want to mutilate young children, there are many countries in the world you can do that, but none of them are called Australia.
What about Islamic schools? Do we shut those down in Queensland?
I've never made a statement like that, nor Senator Hanson.
It sounds like you're against their religion. What's your own religious values, and what do you think of their religion?
My values are the same as all Australians. I aspire for this to be a great country and a great state, and to see everybody treated equally and fairly. I'm German, Irish, Scottish and French. We come from another country as everybody standing before we did. And Indigenous people are the original owners of this land, and I have no problem with that. We should treat all Australians equally and fairly, and people can try to portray whatever they like, but this is the truth. That's what we're telling the people of Queensland, and we are not going to take a backward step. We have to be honest and upfront, and those political parties who want to throw mud and swim in the mud, we're not going to swim in the mud. We're staying way above that, and we're going to look after Queensland. This is a positive campaign with positive policies, just like we've announced today. The Bradfield scheme, a hybrid of that, is a nation-building project that will deliver jobs, prosperity and a future for this great state.
What exactly is that nation-building project?
It's about taking water to Western Queensland, as I've described earlier, just like the Hoover Dam in the United States. It's about a renewable resource such as agriculture. We all know the population of the world is going through the roof. Believe it or not, these people will need to eat. So why shouldn't we provide the best quality food on the planet for these people to eat, and in turn create a prosperity that we've not seen for a very long time in this country?
You've spoken about your passion for medicinal cannabis and the amnesty. Did you ever hear back from either the Premier, either publicly or privately, or the Prime Minister about your inquiries?
I've heard the Prime Minister on TV, I've heard Bill Shorten on TV come out and say that the Prime Minister is very foolish not creating an amnesty, and how can he do that? It's the only thing I've ever agreed with Shorten on. But also the Premier of Queensland, all I've read in the paper is they refuse to create an amnesty. The truth of the matter is, legislation has gone through the federal government in February of last year to grow medical cannabis in Australia, and I need to make these points clear. We have reasonably good legislation that went through the Queensland Parliament at the end of last year, but the problem we face is many thousands of people are using whole plant medical cannabis to stay alive. Epilepsy, cancer, many ailments are being treated by this product today. And yes, it's illegal, but can we stop people from living because of the paper shuffle? The federal government want to do it, the state government want to do it, but we don't have a supply in Australia to give it to these people. That's why I've called on the Premier and the Prime Minister to create an amnesty for these individuals who need this life-saving medicine right now. And as I said, it's 16 days, Prime Minister. Please step up and help these people. They need it today.
Will you be seeking a formal meeting with either the Premier or the Prime Minister now that you're the leader of One Nation in Queensland?
You've given me a great idea and I love it, and that's exactly what I'll do. Thank you so much.
Senator Hanson, can we ask you about the TPP? The US is officially withdrawn from it. If it's introduced to Parliament, will you support ratifying it?
No, I won't. I don't support the TPP, and I was very pleased to see that the President of the United States has pulled out of it, and hence I'm sure it will flow onto Australia. We won't go ahead with it.
Would you support a revised TPP agreement if they seek to do that?
No, I'd like to look at doing free trade agreements with countries on an individual needs basis and what is in the best interest of Australia. I have grave concerns about the Chinese free trade agreement that we did. Even the American free trade agreement we did in 2004 was not in the best interest of Australian industries and our agricultural industry. So I just feel that these free trade agreements should be on the table for all to look at them before they're signed behind closed doors.
We just saw you in Perth, now you're in Queensland and the party's growing exponentially. Who's paying for all the travel costs? Is that something you're claiming federally?
No cost whatsoever, not a cent to the federal, what can I say, federally at all. All this is being paid by the party.
So your flight just from Perth to Queensland now is paid for by One Nation?
Correct. And my flights over there, my accommodation, my staff, everyone who may travel with me, it's all paid for by the party. I am very accountable to the taxpayer on my expenses, and if it is my parliamentary duties that I am carrying out, it is then, in my duty as parliamentary representative, but anything to do with the party is definitely party related.
That costs a fortune. How big's the barrel?
It's growing on a daily basis, and we thank all those people. And if you want to donate to One Nation, we
Or
can do it with all
become
the help we can get.
Or membership. It'd be fantastic to have these people on board. So, at the end of the day, I believe in what I am doing. And like I did prior to my becoming a senator, if I have to, I will put my hand in my own pocket to support this party because I believe in what I'm doing.
Senator, will you accept a briefing from Defence Intelligence officials about potential cyber security risks?
Apparently that is the case, so every minor party and major party will be having meetings with the Parliament.
Do you believe Russia was behind the alleged hacking of the US election?
I have no more information with regard to that, other than every other Australian or citizen.
Do you believe that Australia is vulnerable to cyber security risks?
Oh, look, I'm sure it is. We need to make sure that we are not hacked, and we need to know the dangers of it, and I'm looking forward to the meeting.
Can you imagine that One Nation supporters are getting sort of mixed messages from One Nation? You're supporting a form of marijuana use, you support euthanasia, you sacked people from your party for derogatory comments about gay men.
Where's the mixed messages? I don't know. I don't understand where you're coming from.
They're not traditionally conservative values, are they, or conservative
well, they're not,
issues?
No,
so
hold on a minute.
What I'm trying to get at is, do you support same-sex marriage? Is that One Nation? They support protecting gay men's rights? What about same-sex marriage?
I don't think there's mixed messages that are going out. If you look at our policies, our principles and objectives on our website, you will understand what One Nation stands for. Euthanasia, yes, I believe it's the person's right to decide whether they want to have euthanasia. And as I said, it's basically based on like a will. You make out a will, you do it while you're still of sound mind, and you give that authority to someone close to you and in relation to two doctors to make that decision.
What about same-sex marriage?
Same-sex marriage. Go to a plebiscite. Let the people have a say on this. It is everyone's right to have a say on this, not up to 226 people on the floor. No, I don't. I believe marriage is between a man and a woman. But everyone has the right to live their life, to be happy. Don't take the word marriage. Make it a civil ceremony if that's what they wish. But it is not my total decision. I have one vote like every other Australian. Send it to the polls. Let the people say. If the people come back and say they agree with same-sex marriage in Australia, they will have my total support. Total support.
I'm just trying to clarify the message from One Nation, with the history and everything. What about, for instance, is Australia still in danger of being swamped by Asians? And that's something we have to know.
Look, let's go back there. All right, swamped by Asians, right. That I did say that in my maiden speech, because if you looked at the immigration at that time, the immigration numbers were about 4.5%, and we actually had a family reunion program. And of that, 75% coming into the country were of Asian. And at the rate we were going, we would have been swamped by Asians. Now, the Prime Minister at the time then pulled back on immigration. So there was no problem with that. I have no problem, and I will say that again. What we've got to do...
You have no problem with, you don't think we're going to be swamped by Asians now? Is that what you're saying?
Well, our Asian population, if you have a look at it now, is around about 10%. So from 4.5% to 10%. I'm sure I'm not going to back away from being a proud Australian. This country has got people from all different cultures, different backgrounds. We are multiracial. Do I agree with multiculturalism? No, I don't. Because multiculturalism is keeping your own culture. And what we're going to end up with, all these different cultures, and become very tribal, where we are going to have problems in Australia. We are Australia under one law, and I believe that everyone should be treated equally the same. And a lot of the migrants that actually support me, a tremendous amount of people that have come here to Australia, do agree with me, because they keep saying, Pauline, we don't want this country to become like the country we left. So I'm getting a lot of support.
What's your position on Australia Day and calls to change the date?
I'm totally against it. Australia Day is as it is, and as I have always known it. Why change the date? What's going to change? You're changing the date to what? What is it going to solve? If we have problems or issues out there, let's debate those issues now. Changing the date is not going to change it. Someone will whinge or complain about the next date that you pick.
Pauline, your WA leader says you may have rushed pre-selection in that state. Would you say you've rushed it here?
Who said I've rushed?
Your WA leader. He said that you're having some issues with pre-selection and that you've had some issues in this state with having to deselect people.
No, I disagree with that. Rushed it, not by any means at all. You know, so we're still going through the vetting process of candidates. Look, stop throwing it back on as if One Nation is the only party that has issues with some candidates that put up their hands to stand for One Nation. You know, I can name quite a few, even members of Parliament. You know, Craig Thompson, Craig Nuttall, Gordon Nuttall. We'll see. He ended up in prison. So, and you've had, you know, who's that other one?
There are many members of both major parties.
Scott Driscoll, and then you've got Eddie Obeid. They were members of Parliament who've ended up in prison. Stop having a go at us with our candidates. Let us move on with the whole lot.
There's some interesting candidates. Let's go through the two you've lost so far. A woman that said the Chinese government was trying to poison us with green tea. You said you vetted her.
What did you want to see? How do I know? Now let's be realistic. Let's be realistic about all this, right? So if she came out with these statements, and if I didn't, you know, disendorse her, what would you do? You'd hound me of having that person on the floor of Parliament. Right, so I can't win either way with the media or with anyone. The decision it was made. Now the whole fact is, you don't know the full thoughts of someone who was going to stand as candidate. That's common sense, right? You don't know the full thoughts. Let's get this straight. Steve Dickson has been a member of Parliament for the last 10 years. He's been a minister. So if you think there was anything there hidden, I think it would have come out long before this. I think you'd all be like hound dogs and going after him. So the whole fact is that, yes, we may not get it right the first time around, but once we know the true calibre of that person, and if I don't believe they're right to be a candidate, yes, I will disendorse them. And I won't have trial by media. I will make that decision, and now alongside with Steve, because Steve is going to have a big part in vetting these candidates. So is everyone perfect? No, they're not. Are we going to make some mistakes? I'm sure we will. And I'm still, you know, trying to do the best that we possibly can.
That said, have you accepted the resignation of your candidate for Musgrave, Paul Rogers?
I will be going through all candidates. We've had a number that have been selected already, and there are numerous other people. And today I've called on people in Queensland to put their hand up. And I think Senator Hanson has very much touched on the fact of the human nature of us as human beings. There are people that have made mistakes. There are people who have put their hand up that have proven to have fallen short. But this is with all political parties in all walks of life, regardless if you're a journalist or a politician or in any other profession. We see it every day. It's everywhere. But we do the best we can, and that's what it's about. And I will be going through those lists of people, and I will do the best I can. But somebody may fall through the crack, as they do with Labor and they have with the LNP. This is the condition of human nature.
Just so we know, how many more candidates are
So
we
last
looking for
question.
Well, let me make this point clear. We'll be looking to get 89 seats unless the redistribution does come into place, and we'll be looking for 93 seats if that happens. There can be an election called at any minute. That's the truth of the nature of Queensland politics. Labor never goes full term. They will go when the most advantaged time is for them, and that's what you can expect in Queensland. The good news is that after this coming election, we have fixed terms in Queensland, which is a great outcome for the people of Queensland. And as Senator Hanson announced the other day about installing an upper house in this state, we are the only state in Australia who doesn't have an upper house. Isn't that a terrible thing? Isn't that a terrible indictment? We have a unicameral government who a government can just go in, make decisions, goes to the governor, and it becomes law. We want to do better for the people of Queensland. We want a House of Oversight, and we want to make sure that Queensland has some of the best governance this state has ever seen.
Now, you're driving the policy here. I just want to get a clearer picture of who you are and what you stand for. I've heard you're a religious man. Would you look at things like revisiting the abortion law, for instance?
Well, there will be bills that will go before Parliament, of which we have one of those right now. And I think what we need to do in this country very clearly is...
So you're anti-abortion, is that correct?
Let me make the point very clearly. I think we need to go to the Australian people and the Queensland people and give them a go, as Senator Hanson spoke about a moment ago relating to same-sex marriage. Why shouldn't the people have a say? And that's what we're empowered by, putting people before politics. And there will be controversial issues, and we can throw them into the air any day we like, but let's give the power back to the people. Let's let the people have a say and make decisions, because we will implement what the real general public want in this country. That's what we all should do as politicians, but I'm sorry to say the major parties have totally lost their way. They don't want to make decisions about anything. Paralysis has set in.
With all due respect, you haven't answered my question. Will you look at revisiting the abortion laws? Are you anti-abortion?
If there is any legislation put forward of that nature, we will put it out to the Queensland people. And that's my answer
You're
very
the one
clearly.
that's driving the policy, so I'm asking you as the leader of One Nation, are you anti-abortion?
I made my point very clear. I think you understood it.
I'm a little bit confused.
Well, I think you are confused, and I'm sorry about that. Any other questions?
So I take that as a yes, you are anti-abortion?
No, I said you're confused. Do you have any other questions?
What happens if you don't win your seat here in Buderim? Who will lead the One Nation Party then?
Well, it'll
He
be
is going to
interesting.
win his seat, right? There's no question about it.
Hey, could you be the
Steve
next
will win
Queensland
his
Premier,
seat.
do you think?
Let's make it quite clear.
Sorry. Could you be the next Queensland Premier?
Well, we'll see what the people of Queensland have got to say. At the moment, One Nation has one seat in 89. I think there is a groundswell out in the Australian community, as there was in the United States, in the UK, and this, I can see this happening in Germany and also in France. The world is changing. The people are speaking up for themselves, and they want to be put before politics. Let me make this point clear. The two majors have totally lost their way. We are here to represent people. We will put people before politics, and we care about what people's opinions are, and we want to give them a say in government, because they're not getting this under the two major parties. That's the difference we're going to make.
But what I can say is, okay, you've got a choice. Anastasia Palaszczuk, still get what you're getting, absolutely nothing. Tim Nichols, I think he's no face of Queensland, I tell you, and he's got nothing to offer. Well, you've got a fresh change, fresh face, fresh policies, driving the state, Queensland. Steve Dickson, yeah, I can see you as Premier.
Does the term draining the swamp resonate with you?
Sounds like a pretty good idea.
Really?
Where'd you hear that?
But no, we're going to drain the Billabong. Okay, guys, that's it. Thank you very much.
Really
Bye.
appreciate your time. Thank you. The coffee is at that place there, or the one down the corner. Great coffee. Spend your money in the Buderim Electric. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Cheers.